Well, come on in. You got to do my intro. Come on. I know. So come in and do it for me. You got to come in and go like this. Get in here. Do it. Come on. We're rolling. Let's go. FA Podcast. Come on.
This one's mine.
Come on. Help me out. Come on.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, bro. We're running.
Okay. You go. Hey guys, this is Mario from Final Approach. This is Nitro from Final Approach. We are at duck camp in Kansas, and we are talking to the one, the only, the best duck carver in the game.
Yes.
Mr. Tom.
That's it. Tom Christie. Look at that. Look at that, Nitro. Look who's here. Don't put your face in my iced tea anymore.
Let him get back to it.
Hey, so we're talking to Tom. So we're at duck camp and we're just going through stuff, and I love talking to Tom, and I love talking about carving. Obviously, Final Approach is so involved on the decoy side. We've done so many different species carvings. I probably should have counted, but I can't count. There's a lot. For the last 4 years, now it's 5, been grinding on how many species we can get to. And I always want to talk to Tom because Tom, Pat Godden, Wayne Simkin, Jamie Welsh, the 4 guys we got are all so skilled. All of you guys are older, and I feel like it is a lost art that younger waterfowlers or just anybody, you don't have to hunt.
I'm glad you said older, not old.
No, you're older.
Seasoned.
Seasoned.
Yeah.
Mature.
You know, like my first thing, and I asked you before, and I'm going to ask you again because it starts this whole thing off. Like when you go to the World Decoy Carving Championship, which is the biggest, most prestigious event in carving, like how many younger people do you see there?
Unfortunately, not as many as
I'd
like to see there. Yeah.
Okay, so when you were younger, right? So let's go back. When did you start carving? How long have you been carving total?
I was like in my 30s before I started carving, so I didn't start as a young kid.
But even when you were there at those contests in your 30s, there was a lot of people there in their 30s, like, you know what I mean? So you guys have grown through and are maturing through carving, and that's what I talk about. I always talk about we're in the waterfowl business, we're losing our icons. You know what I mean? Tim Grounds passed away, Butch Richenbach passed away, like all these great callers and great waterfowl hunters. Well, all the great carvers, I'm not saying are passing away, but you're not timing out, but you're getting older, and that next generation is not coming in, and we need them to come in.
Right. We really need younger people in, and I keep saying not just younger people in it, but 30-year-olds.
Sure, anybody.
Because anybody, I started because I loved waterfowl and hunting with my dad.
Right.
And I didn't start carving until I was 30. I started loving waterfowl when I was 12, 15, 16. Sure. And carving just as a way that I could continue that. And so you're right, we need to get younger people involved. And I think a lot of it comes from hunting. A lot of it comes, I'm thinking, not just hunting, but the appreciation of the fowl, the birds.
For sure.
And so I'm trying to, I've got a YouTube channel, and I was going to plug that a little bit.
Which is so awesome.
It's a way that I can share that with as many people. That platform is so huge.
Yeah, and we've talked
about it. I can touch
a
lot of people that way.
Well, and we've talked about it before. Like when you wanted to talk to somebody about carving, you'd have to send them a letter or see them at a show or call them.
I went to a library,
and you said that's right.
Looked for an old musty book.
Right.
And
or somebody in your area.
To get me going.
Right. Or somebody in your area.
Yeah, a carving club.
Not like now. Like I pull my phone out and I go, how to paint a loon. Tom Christie, here we go. Press play. Here's how I paint a loon. Like go through the whole thing. Like whatever you're painting or whatever you're carving. Like that's what I'm saying. It's so easy for people to get into it.
Well, and with the internet too, and the fantastic photography that's out there that for reference material, the resources are much better than they used to be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's just less carving going on.
I wonder if that has
Tyler
something-
from Weatherby, by the way.
Tyler from Weatherby.
Tyler from
so
Weatherby.
my question
Go ahead.
is kind of maybe goes towards the roots of like your motivation. You said it was to represent waterfowl that you loved, but with today's younger guys, I feel like maybe they lose the motivation behind why would you want to carve, because there's so many good solutions. There's not like I need to solve a problem now to go hunt.
Right.
So,
There's so many options to buy plastic decoys. And it's grown and grown and grown. But, you know, like Tom makes money at this. You know what I mean? And Pat Godden, that's his job. You know, Wayne Simkin, that's not Wayne's full-time job because he's not done with his other job, but he can transition and work just like that. Jamie, same thing. You know, like you could make money doing this thing because I call you and go, how busy are you? Oh, I'm pretty busy. I got a bunch of birds I'm doing for guys and this and that. And I'm doing whatever. And you got to fit me in. So there's money to be made. Like, when you guys stop doing it, like that goes away.
Yeah.
That's what I really am looking at going, that'll be a really sad day when that starts happening.
Well, and I think not only in decoys, this is my opinion, but just hand craftsmanship of
For sure.
wooden furniture, of just the craftsman side of creating your own thing with your own hands is kind of it's not a lost art.
But it's declining.
It's declining because there's so many other things to
There's mass
capture
produced
people's
things.
interest.
For sure. There's for sure. It's easier to just get it or buy it or whatever, for sure.
Man, this is kind of where my theory is like you represented through Duck based on that, like media, which would have been carving. Now photography, you were just saying that good reference things. I feel like there's a lot of photographers now that's come and it's like almost this weird digital version. So like the motivation from, younger guys is maybe that digital side, but there is this like up and down cyclical thing of like people wanting to touch things again. So maybe it does come back.
That's what I'm hoping, right?
Kind of like magazine prints coming back.
Yeah, we see it a lot. A lot of people said magazine and print was dead, and we've seen a resurgence of like really nicely done print magazines where you feel it and it's like, ooh, this is quality paper, things like that.
Right. And the thing I love about carving is that I've got something when I'm done that's physical.
Right.
It didn't just go away. It's something I can give to you.
Yeah.
Or to my kids or to a friend.
Yeah.
Or have people buy it, which is
For sure.
It's nice to have that supplemental income, but having something for your efforts, and I'm not bashing golf or anything like that. I golf. But when I'm done, I don't have anything to show for it other than
bill at the clubhouse.
fellowship
Yeah.
and
And a scorecard.
the enjoyment of the
Scorecard
game.
You're either proud of or not
But-
proud of.
Wow.
Again, I'm not bashing that. I'm just saying,
Sure.
carving, you at least have something when you're done that you can share with other people.
I mean, it's
I
like
like that aspect of
it's
it.
like anything else in that kind of category where guys are doing sculptures or it's painting. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure all those, because you talk about the digital stuff where it's like, like your Uncle Jim Killen, who did all the dogs and all those paintings and all that stuff, right? Yeah. Well, I can go and take a picture of my dog and send it to some print company and they print it on a canvas and send it to me and I put it on the wall, and I don't need your Uncle Jim who's passed away, but I don't need like a painting. I can just get that. So now the digital age is kind of, I won't say ruin that, but there's another option now, right? So that's totally, I don't want to say taken over, but now there's another option.
Even 3D modeling, my son works in that industry, and you can model things digitally and make them look real, and that's a whole nother creative
Process.
outlet.
Right.
It's just a different category of creation.
Yeah, I think the love for waterfowl is still there in a lot of people. It's just the media, the form that they're using to express it's just changing. So,
Yeah.
You're seeing more photography. You're seeing other avenues of that kind of stuff.
Well, and getting back to why I started decoy
Sure.
carving is the thrill. If you do hunt, Final Approach sells plastic decoys, and I'm glad they do. we
when
want
back
that for the masses,
That's
but
right.
there's also a thrill in making something with your hands,
For sure.
throwing it out there. I think I'm like Pat Godden. I think he said he started with fishing lures.
He did.
That's what I did. I bass fish, and I started making my own fishing lures, and the kick you get out of catching a
fish.
bass on something you made with your hands kind of then led me into, well, I want to try that with Goldeneye on the Portage River,
Right.
and see if I can get them to wheel into my handmade decoys. I had plastic decoys out there, bluebills, but the Goldeneyes wouldn't come into those. And I'd see them come, there they go, they'd never come in. And I carved 3 pretty rustic decoys from that musty old library book.
I love it.
I got
I
out of the
love it.
library, threw them out there, and I'm not kidding and I'm not lying. First time they came by,
As soon as they saw it.
just dumped right in, and I was hooked. You know,
That was it.
That's an aspect that younger people, you need to try it, because it's a real kick to see a live bird like that react to something that you've made.
Well, and plastic decoys, mass-produced decoys, didn't take over that part, because guys who had carved, like I said to you, when's the last time you carved a whole dozen rig for somebody? You know what I mean? Like guys who used to do it, the market hunters did it. You know what I mean?
And there are still people that carve
there
like that.
sure
that
is. There
carve
absolutely
rigs
is.
of
There
birds.
absolutely is. But
Yeah.
but it's like that's not for everybody. Guys just want to get online, click something. I want to use that. I want to beat it up. I want to, you know what I mean? They want something pretty durable. They don't want to baby it, because I'll be honest. Like I've done my own decoys and made them and painted them, and I baby them. I don't throw them in the bottom of the boat. Like I'm not like, I don't do that. Like the plastic ones, like we make them to beat the hell out of them, right? So that's what I do. But all the ones that I painted, did all that, like I'm real particular about them, because you want to keep them nice. Like it's
And
it's
they're
an
a little
art.
heavier than the plastic.
Well,
decoys.
and
So
it's
if you
just a
got a
piece of
bag
art.
of those over your shoulder and walking into a marsh, there's something to be said for
It's a
plastic.
piece of art, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole vibe that you want to kind of do. So
Yeah.
So for a 30-something-year-old, how would you tell them to get started? Are you buying basswood? Are you buying or like just give us like the bare essentials kit for me to get started or something like that?
That's a really good point, because there are kind of two approaches. One is hand tools, and that's the way most people get started, because the investment is a lot lower when you can buy a chisel, a knife, and a hammer and a draw knife, and kind of make birds that way, and that's a good way to get started. And that's the way I started. Actually, I started with a bandsaw.
yep,
Which was my only automated tool, because
just cutting the big
some-
pieces.
some people just use a hatchet, like the Cajuns would use,
To
and
hog
still
off.
use hatchets to hog off wood.
Big pieces, right?
Bandsaw to get started. I started with basswood because it was available. I moved to Tupelo because it's Tupelo gum, because it's lighter and it has less grain. But you can get online and Google some wood sources. You can go to my YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
There's discussions on there about basic tools to get people started. That's really my goal, is to get people started, but started in power carving. So I get some feedback on the channel. What about hand carvers? Well, I'm not hand carving, and I don't want to go back and reinvest in all hand tools.
Right.
But there are other people out there doing hand tools
sure.
that they can pursue those resources as well.
I started on hand tools.
Block of wood, how to make a pattern. There's tons of resources online, and I've got videos on that. I don't make money on my YouTube channel. I'm just trying to
Keep it going.
keep
the
it going
sport and the
and
art,
build
right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a good pattern, good piece of wood, some basic tools, and just studying the birds. If you can get birds in hand, That's the best. If you can't, there's just tons of
Reference material everywhere.
online.
There is.
There are other good channels out there too.
I mean, my friend Don Guthrie got me started in carving, and Don Bear was his name. Don taught Don Guthrie, and Don told me to go to Don Bear, so he got me hooked. So I went to Don Bear and learned from Don Bear. He's in Vancouver, Washington. He's like right up there. So it was hand tools, and I remember Don got me my first set of hand tools, and it was like, it was like a set of 5 or whatever, and I was like, open up, and I was like, oh my God, hand tools. And it was like that wooden box that came with like 4 different tools, and I open up and there's like 30 million Band-Aids in there too with the tools. And he goes,
Very important.
and he's like, you're gonna need those. And no kidding, like first couple times, yep, cut myself. Like it's an automatic. So it is, and then I got like a carving glove if I'm gonna do with the hand tools. So it's a whole thing, but I got into it pretty good. Go ahead.
The other thing I was going to say is a carving club. If there is
That's going to
one
be my next question.
locally, that's how I really got started in competitive carving. I joined the Maumee Bay Carvers Club when I lived in Ohio, and there were people in there that were willing to share all the tips and tricks and got me going. Took me to a contest. I'm a competitive person, quietly competitive, and that just tripped my trigger. I got thrown out the first contest I was in for, it was not even close. Yeah. But with a competitive spirit and a thick skin, I wanted to give a little pitch for competitions too. Yeah. There are shows all over the country.
For sure.
Like the World Carving Championships. Yeah. If you can go to those, see the level of craftsmanship, it's inspiring.
It's incredible the amount of carvers and the people that are out there and what they're doing, whether it's, songbirds or, I've seen like raptors, owls. I love when I see an owl, I just get all fired up because like Wayne did a little snowy owl or whatever. He did that a couple of years, I think late last year. I'm looking at it, I'm like, holy crap, look at that. That was so sick. So just all that stuff comes into play because there's different categories, obviously, of different things. There's fish. You know what I mean? There's guys doing fish. I mean, there's you name it, you can get into it. So the club thing I wanted to go back to because you're talking about getting tools and getting started, right? Well, go talk to Don Bear on the phone, and Don Guthrie's like, you got to go to Don. He's the guy. You just go up, you go to class like every Tuesday night. I just schedule it. I'm going to go to Don's 6 to 9:30 or whatever it is. Go up to the first time. I go in his garage, and you go in the garage, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? It's like you go through the other door, and then he has all these cubicles set up, and every cubicle has a filter, an air filter machine, and a vacuum with everything going, and he's got everything, duct work everywhere, and there's a Fordham at every station, and whatever you needed was there. And I paid to go, I paid to learn, I did the whole deal, and that did it for me. Then I started chipping away, got my hand tools, got a Fordham, got another little, I can't think of what the heck the name is, the Dremel. Then I got the Dremels, and I get this and that. So then I got into it. So, but going there is, and then there was other people. Like somebody comes over, what are you working on? I'm working on this. Oh, and I'm like, I'm stuck. And soon, like that's the best thing, because if you're looking only at a YouTube channel or whatever, like you don't know when you're going to get stuck, right? But if you're in a club, I'm sitting there and it's like, and I know you've done this a million times because I'm not that good, but when you started, probably, maybe you were like that, but I'm sitting there and I'm just staring at the bird for 20 minutes and I'm like, I don't know, I'm stuck. Yeah. And then Don comes over, or one of the older guys comes over, or anybody else in the club, and they're like, because everybody needs a break too while they're carving, so then they take a break and they walk around and see everybody else's stuff, and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know what to do right there. I'm stuck. I'm like, I want this feather to come over this feather, and I don't know how to get there, and I don't want to. Once you start taking wood off, it's not like you can put wood back on, right?
I don't want to be slapping Bondo back.
So I'm kind of like, I'm looking and I'm staring at it, and I'm like, I don't know. And then somebody says, well, what if you do this? And of course, a pencil and eraser is like your best friend. You know what I mean? So, and Don Bear is a guy that's like, he is so quick with doing a bird and cutting a pattern out and like whipping it up, right? And he's like, well, why don't you just follow this feather like this? And he just takes his pencil and does that, and just use this tip on the Fordham and just start going this way and come here and do that. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean? And then I'm going really slow, but being in that club, and I think I did it for about 2 years or a little over 2 years. And then life got busier and whatever, and I couldn't go all the time, and I stopped doing it. And then I just started doing stuff at home. But that was a huge thing for me. So if you could find a club, it's so much fun.
Like a long-winded answer of saying you got to find that mentor, right?
You have to.
You find that one
in some
person.
fashion, yeah.
Because you can still go digital research and all that stuff, but like the decoys itself, it's that hands-on type of mentorship or something like that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still get stuck a lot, Mario.
Well,
Especially on a new species.
okay, I'll buy that a little
kinda
bit.
get
But
frozen.
you're stuck in my stuck or little.
I'm a lot faster than I used to be, even though I'm older.
And we talked about this when we had all the carvers, which is something I'll just bring up really quick, but everybody has their own process. So just because Tom does this with his pattern or whatever, like you got to look what works for you, because I mean, when I had Tom and Pat and Wayne and Jamie and all of them, and I talked to every one of them, and how do you start? Tom does like a sketch, like that's like almost like a painting. It's immaculate. There's feathers, there's everything. It's so detailed because he needs that detail. He needs to see it, and then it's going to happen, right? Wayne and Jamie, and not so much Pat. Pat's a little different too, but Wayne and Jamie are like, here's the shape of the bird, and that's all they need, and then they just go. You know what I mean? Tom has every feather almost kind of timed out, and it looks like the bird's done already, and then he gets to it, and it's pretty crazy. But the sketch that he does, and then you get the bird, you're like, holy crap, it's the same thing.
You're sketching that on the wood.
No, he's sketching on a piece of paper,
Do you do
like
side
just
and then
pencil.
top down, like side profile, and
Side
And top.
Side in detail, some detail top down, but it's during the pattern making process, and Mario and I'll go back and forth and kind of, what do you think about this? He'll give me, this is kind of what we're thinking about. And
It starts with
I'm kind
pictures.
of a visual artist, so I like to see
Yes.
a little bit of shading on the bird, a few feathers.
Yes.
I can't just work with a hard outline. And
Yes, that's what I'm
like a
saying.
coloring book,
You're different than Jamie and Wayne, and then Pat's different, and so we'll go back and forth on pictures to start. Like right now, we're talking about doing something else. So we're talking about this species. So I send Tom a couple pictures, and I say, "Hey, I'm thinking about this is going to be next. What do you think about these pictures?" And sometimes he comes back and he says, "I like those, but what do you think about this one?" And then I go, "Oh crap," because he's got reference pictures that I don't see. I have stuff he doesn't see, and we're just going through pictures and pictures, and maybe somebody took one and sent it to me, and we just go back and forth, and then we agree on one. We go, "Oh yeah, that's it." And then Tom's like, "Yeah, I think that's it. Let's go." And then the sketch comes, and I see it, and I'm just like, "Go!" And then it's off and running. So, and and then it's like I get updates as he goes, and all the carvers, they send me updates when they're
As
working
I
on
get
something.
fired up about, as things start taking shape, I need to be motivated with what I'm doing, just like anything else, So hey, that looks pretty cool. I'm going to send Mario a picture of that. See what.
And then I shoot it right back. Yeah, that looks pretty
keep
damn
going.
cool. Yeah, that looks killer. So
that's,
I hate
that's fun part of it.
I'll probably look at my phone, but I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. Is probably like my only response like all the time, because it's freaking awesome every time. So I put that in there. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. So there hasn't been anything that I'm like, not sure about that one.
At least you never told me about it.
No, there has not been. Not with any of you guys. Like literally
that's nice.
It's been
That's a good crew. You got a good crew. Those guys are all good people.
They are
and
all
good carvers.
They are all very good people and all incredible carvers, for sure. So, I mean, you have done, like, we can walk through some of them, but you have done, I want to say what the first thing was. I said the first thing was a pintail, maybe.
It might have been.
I think
The widgeon, gadwall,
Widgeon, gadwall. Well, maybe it was gadwall first. I'm not sure, but gadwall, widgeon, pintail. Then we went into the honkers, the live honkers.
Big ones, yeah.
Which is like, we talk about them all the time, and me and Tyler up in Canada just did a thing on them that was like, dude, this is the top of the line, like honker, full body honker decoy.
Those are fun to do.
Oh my God,
they're fun.
so
it's fun for me to see these things used in the field. That I'm gonna do a pitch for carving again. Even though these are plastic decoys, to be able to create that from hand, have it mass produced, but still be able to go out in the hunting blind and see them work with the birds coming into them, harvest some birds, compare them. It's a thrill for me. So I've enjoyed that. And then we went to turkeys.
Well, I was just gonna say then, probably the best thing was like, hey, Tom's doing a turkey. Tom's gonna do a Jake. He's gonna do a breeder hen. I said, great. We're gonna go to Washington. We're gonna shoot it. And you hadn't shot a turkey.
No.
Ever.
Nope.
I said, you're gonna shoot
I
your
had never
first
been turkey hunting.
Yes.
I hate to admit it,
Yeah,
but
no, that's all right. I said, you're gonna shoot your first turkey over your decoy. And he's like, I'm up for that. So we go to Washington, over to my buddy Cody's, over in Spokane and over in that area, and him and Kyle. We go over there and like set Tom up, and here we go.
it was like magic.
We had the whole Jake crew rip through.
Yeah.
They ran right through. There was like 6 Jakes that just came through,
Jake
and they
squad.
were just hammering.
Just the mob, yeah.
Yeah.
The old Jake squad, they come running through, and then the hens came through. Then the Jake squad came back through, and the whole time Tom's just sitting there. It's like, there's his decoys, there's the Jakes. They're right next to it. They're looking at it. They're kind of pushing it around a little bit, and then they run off. And then the hens come in, and you're looking at the hens, and you're looking at the decoy, and you're like, yeah, it looks pretty good. So then all that happens, and then everything goes, and then Cody's like, 15 minutes, I'm telling you, 15 minutes. And Kyle's like, yeah, I'm telling you. And then off one gobbles. And then literally you could set your watch. It was like 12 minutes later, here they come. Two strutters come ripping through. They come in, they start pushing around the decoy, and it's Kyle, Cody, Tom, me, and camera guys behind us. Adam wasn't with us. Adam was somewhere else. We had a different guy with it. You weren't with us, were you, Adam? Right. Okay. Double checking. I don't want to leave you out. So they saw something or figured something was up, and it was a new camera guy. So I wasn't sure if he was moving or what was going on, but they started getting itchy. And Kyle and I, at the exact same time, they were like right by the hand, and then one of them just went like this, like that, and both Kyle and I said, Tom, kill him. I mean, at the same exact time. So as soon as I saw his foot just go like that, he turned like halfway, and I'm like, gigs up. So Tom throttled the first one.
I'm happy to report it.
Yeah.
Because the pressure was on.
The pressure was on for
My
sure.
decoy, never hunted turkeys before, lined up, couldn't have been more
Dropped
perfect
him right
setup.
there, and then Kyle's yelling, shoot the next one, and Tom's like, oh my God, and the gun jammed, and he's like fumbling, and I was like, so then I shot the second one on the way out, so we doubled up right there.
About a 50-yard shot.
It was pretty good poke, and that was with the 20. That was with the 20, so it was a poke.
That was a nice shot.
So that was TSS doing some work in the gun, and there we are, and we're looking at birds, and we're looking at
What a thrill. I mean,
so
you
it's
can't
all
beat
about.
that.
No, that's what it's all about.
You put that all together, who gets to do that?
So we're gonna try to kill some more turkeys with yours this coming spring, but also we're gonna hunt tomorrow, and we're gonna shoot some birds over your birds.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
So for someone who is going to get started, what duck, like you're probably not going to tackle a turkey project on your first
Right,
go around.
right.
What duck would be?
I highly recommend not.
So what would you suggest people start with? Is it a mallard? Is it a gat? Like
Probably.
You know what? Let me let you answer. Let me say one thing.
Yeah.
I would say, do you want to carve more or do you want to get right to painting? Because I could say you could do a smoothie, which doesn't have much detail in it, right? So then you can get started. So then you're working on more your shape and like your lines and stuff like that. Do you think that would be the best place
I'd
to
definitely
start?
start with a smoothie, a decoy, not a full-blown decorative every
Feather, right.
burn, because you just frustrate yourself. And it's so important to get the form right to
That's right.
convey the essence of the species.
That's right.
The pattern has to be right, the
Yes.
form has to be right. So that's where I would start. And I'd start with, I get this question a lot on my YouTube channel, what should I start with? And I always say, probably a simpler bird like a drake mallard or something with or a bufflehead or a
bluebill.
diver.
there's like a defined color palette there too. It's not like super
Exactly.
It's not like a Gadwell's super brown. You think that would maybe be
Gadwall's actually super hard.
which is hard because
Which
there's so
everybody
many
thinks.
intricate details.
That's right.
You would
There's so
think,
many
it's a brown
shades.
duck. Let's start there, but there's so many intricate things on a Gadwall.
But then I would always add, I would want you to start on something that you're passionate about too, something that you want to create. Because if the little bufflehead, I don't care too much about. I'm not saying I don't care about buffleheads, but
If you don't,
that's a simple bird. But if you don't want to make a bufflehead, don't make a bufflehead.
make what you want. For sure. That's it. Like if you want to do a shorebird, if you want to do a fish, like if you want to do something, like do that. Like you have to do something you're into. You know what I mean? Like I was crazy enough where the second bird that I wanted to do was a pintail. And I was asking for trouble. But that's what I wanted to do. And I worked on that bird for I don't know how many hours. Like I got way too many hours in that bird. Like
But it's
150,
fun that
like,
way.
Whatever.
And-
I don't know.
But
So-
that's a place to start, a
Yeah.
smoothie, and then work your way into more decorative, if you want, because I still just do smoothies. I've done one fully decorative bird in my 40-year carving career because I just don't have enough patience.
to go.
I've got a lot of patience, I just don't have enough to go every feather, every freaking barb,
Yeah, for sure.
So that I just really appreciate the masters that are able to do that and pull it off. Incredible. But I there's so much you can do with a smooth bird with paint and a good carved shape. I just carved my first cardinal.
Saw it. I saw it. I was jacked up about it.
This
I
is
was
really
like,
off base.
yeah,
from
but that's
where-
but that's a challenge
because I wanted to do it, and it's a change of pace.
for sure.
I'm stuck it on my bird feeder. I'm trying to get some cardinals to come into my bird feeder. So it is a decoy.
Yeah, he's decoying the Cardinals.
You're just
Look
not.
at this.
You're just not shooting them. So that's,
That's
all
right.
right. That's cool.
That's correct.
That's
right.
true.
But you're trying to draw them in.
Yeah,
I love it.
I want to feed them for the winter, but we're in an area where it's going to take some time. We've had no snow in Nebraska, so I said on my YouTube channel I'll be publicly humiliated if I don't get a picture of a bird.
Cardinal next to your cardinal.
Yeah, that's okay. I had fun doing it. That's I guess that's what I'm trying to say is
I love it.
it's the joy of the carving, and don't get too hung up on.
Well, and you should be doing birds or anything. You should be doing anything that you're into because that's going to keep your interest.
Yeah.
Keep you going. Not just your first bird, like all your birds.
Well, and I enjoy the process of studying the bird and getting to know it better. I didn't know cardinals. I know they were red, but
Right.
there's so many resources online. What's that look like from the top down? What's that brown on that wing? I'm getting into the minutia here, but that's
Yeah, but
part
that's-
of the fun of
For sure.
the appreciation of the birds. I go back to kind of like we talked about earlier. I think that's why I think carving can be beyond just hunting.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people appreciate
Art. It's
art and the wildlife.
Yes. There's a lot there. There's a lot there.
So I got a question for you. Out
Yes.
of all the ones you've done for Mario, which was your favorite?
Ooh, man, that's gotta be tough.
Because I got to watch a turkey beat up your decoy last year.
Yeah, you did. You got the first. You got the first. Okay, so Tom's second turkey hunt. Okay. Yeah. He gets the whole.
And I'm
show.
right next to him.
Right next to Kyle, and we're at Cody's place, and we get the whole show. We get gobble on the roost. We get fly down through the trees, and then we get everybody coming through the woods. Then we get 4 strutters, 3 or 4. I think there was 4, and the one really didn't want to come in, but 2,
Yeah.
2 just kept pushing each other out of the way and getting the Jake and hammering
Just
and hammering and
the Jake,
hammering
and
and
I was
hammering.
just grinning from ear to ear watching that.
And
And then
this
the
is
other
10
one
yards.
jumps on the hen.
Yeah, this is 10 yards. This is 10 freaking yards. He gets to watch this, and then Kyle
410
shoots it at 10
Yeah,
with
that
the
was the
410.
410, yeah.
And
And
I
I'm second shooter that day, so I'm just
Just watching the
this whole
show.
thing. I was already set because I had a bird the previous day. When he shot, I had a bead on my second turkey, but he bolted.
oh, he was gone.
And he nailed his turkey.
Well, when we were sitting there, and it was just kind of a similar thing where it's like you knew that it was about to go bad because that one Tom flipped the hen decoy finally, and they all just kind of stopped and were like,
Yeah.
whoa,
It's like shoot him.
something's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was
That was
thrilled
awesome.
because you got to see the whole show, because usually you don't get to see the whole show.
Yeah.
Like that's rare. The fly down through the tree, like the whole, like that was it.
We saw those 4 strutters.
I mean,
coming through the wood. That's burned in my memory.
I could see
You
him
know,
coming
I could
around
see
those
him.
trees. There was like a little S in the trees, and it was like this.
Yeah.
You
Here they
just saw
come,
this,
boys.
and it looked exactly like that. And I was like, and Cody was about to come unglued because he was like, strutter, 4 strutters. And Kyle's like right next to me on the left, Kyle Powell, and I'm watching everything go down, and Adam's in the hole with you guys, and I'm like, oh my God, like the fans just mesmerize me as they're coming around the trees, and I look over at Kyle, and Kyle's like, and I was like, yeah, it's going down. So
That was a blast.
Full tilt coming in.
it was sick. It was absolutely sick, and you'll see that on the last pass turkey season as soon as we get cranked up right here coming for spring. But okay, so what's your bird? What do you think's your favorite?
Oh, man.
Because I know my favorite. It's easy for me.
I think the one I've been most proud of is maybe the calling widgeon, and then the pintails.
Yeah.
The gadwalls, I like the carve. I like all of them, but I think those were some of the early birds.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm not proud of that turkey because the Jake, I've seen it in action.
Well, you never did a turkey.
I never.
You've never carved a
Carved a
turkey.
turkey.
Those are your first 2 turkeys.
That's pretty cool.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So I really had to go to school on turkeys, and Mario sent me feathers, and I had thousands of pictures.
Oh yeah, I sent you all kind of stuff, but I'm into it too, so I was buried in it.
So that
The
I don't think anybody has that story. They carved the turkey. His first turkey I
telling
ever
you.
carved, mass produced, first turkey hunt, and the Jake or the strutters jump on top of the decoy, and we nail them.
We didn't get to shoot a widgeon over your widgeon, but we had a widgeon come into your widgeon when we were in Missouri.
And swim around, and we couldn't
Swim
make her
around.
go away.
He was so tired. It was a migrator, 100%. Came in, did not want to leave the decoys. Nobody was going to ground pound them. Like just left them go and stayed in the decoys almost the whole morning.
That was with the other carvers in the
Yep.
2 of the other
That was
carvers.
Pat and Wayne. Yep.
Pat and Wayne, and,
Yep.
and when Pat leaned over and said, "That he came right into your widgeon. Look at that." That was a proud moment.
That's pretty cool.
That was-
because I mean, she shouldered right up, or he was shouldered right up to those decoys.
Pretty slick.
That's the thrill.
Yeah, I for sure it's the pintail and the whistling widgeon. I'm ditto of you
So
because
same.
I made sure you made me, like when we did a cast of yours, I had you paint a pintail, so that's on my desk. It doesn't move. It sits right there. So that's there, and then the widgeon is just that. I mean, that's it for me because we chase them all the time. We get them all the time. So that bird to me is total widgeon. And the other thing that we did instead of just, and this was the plan when we started, and it started with Pat and everybody when we got everybody together and started doing this. Pat did the mallards. That was the first thing, and then we started from there and we started adding on, and then we got Wayne, we got Jamie, we got Tom, and we start chipping away. But the whole plan was to make sure every carver had the attitude of the bird that we were chasing. And as a carver, anybody could just carve a widgeon. Right. You've never hunted it, you don't know it, but when I talk about the attitude, I talk about like guys that say hunt widgeon all the time, and Tom carves that decoy whistling. Like they've seen that so many times. Like that's the attitude of that bird. You know what I mean? That hen low to the water, the surface feeder drake widget. Like that's what you see all the time. Like a real waterfowl hunter, whether guy or girl, who hunts widgeon all the time, sees that attitude and is like, it's not just a widgeon decoy, that's a widgeon, right? Same with everything else we did, the gadwall, how it sits, the posture, the mallards, everything we're doing, the pintails, we tried to nail that. And every position, every species has different positions. So if you put, like tomorrow when we put everything out, like everything's different. Like there's not just like, hey, we have an upright widgeon and an upright mallard and an upright this and then we have this, that, you know what I mean? We've tried to go after the attitudes, which makes everything throw off. Like the spoonbills, like Jamie did the spoonbills, and that's a fan favorite. Like everybody laughs and jokes and says, I don't want to shoot spoonies and do all that, but guess what? We sell an absolute pile of spoonbills because
beautiful.
They look killer. And I think he nailed the attitude of that and the paint scheme. When we look through that, like that's what we were shooting for. Not just like, you can make really nice decoys. I'm not saying there's other companies that don't make nice decoys, but we wanted to nail the attitude on top of that. That's like the cherry. And I think you guys do that because I set you up to do that, meaning that I know Wayne is going to do a great teal. I know Jamie has done, because I always ask you guys, like, now this is something that's coming from a manufacturing and a company thing, but also, like I said, I'm not a carver, but I try to think into the mind and I say, hey, Tom, what's your favorite bird? And he says, whatever. Like Jamie goes, I love bluebills. I know Jamie's going to do a bluebill at some point for me. You know what I mean? Or say Tom says, I like widgeon. I'm always thinking that for you guys because I also want you guys to work on a bird that you guys like to do because I know your heart's in it. You know what I mean? And I know like you guys are getting paid to do the other birds and this, that, or other thing, but I also want you guys to do the birds you guys want to do too.
Yeah.
That's the fun, right?
Yeah, that makes it exciting. And I like the fact, this is blowing smoke at you, Mario, but it's not blowing smoke. I like the fact that you're a hunter because I've carved for other companies.
Yeah.
And when you're just working with an engineer in a product development setting, there's a whole different vibe working with somebody that has been in the field, hunts on a regular basis, has a passion about the birds. It just makes my job a lot easier carving. So that's all the smoke I'll blow.
Well, and we got to keep, I'll blow some smoke back. Well, we got to keep up with, and this goes for all you guys, like me and the factory has to keep up with the paint schemes for you guys. Like you guys, like, listen, it's like you just bought a brand new tricked out sports car and then you paint it an ugly brown or something, right? If you make an incredible car, I got to make sure I paint it and it looks like it should look. So when you guys do this incredible carving and I send it over to the factory and then we start working on paint schemes, like the paint scheme better be badass, because if not, I just ruined your bird and I can't live with that. So I have to really have my game and push those guys over there and just push as hard as I
Yeah,
can.
I really
because
appreciate the way we interact.
for sure.
When the
we're getting
schemes are
paint
being
schemes, for sure.
finalized too.
For sure.
Mario will send me pictures, what do you think of this, you know? And I'm a manufacturing guy by background, 40 years in manufacturing, so I know there are limitations
Sure.
to mass-produced items.
Right.
And there's only so much detail you're gonna be able to, but they're doing a great job.
They are.
And they pretty
They
well
haven't let
made.
us down.
Yep.
And we stay on them pretty hard. And like I said, you're asking me, I'm asking you, I'm sharing pictures. So we're going pretty hard. So it's.
It's like, I don't think that blue feather goes where they've got it there.
Yeah, we've had to change a couple things for
They're
sure.
not duck hunters,
And they're
sometimes.
right. But
Yeah.
we get it. We get it for
Yeah.
sure. So I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. That's a whole other side that, we can get into. But this podcast is definitely just about, trying to get people more into carving, how much fun it is, how connected you are to the wildlife and the sport and just everything about it. So if we can get more people in it, like you said, and it's the same with hunting too. It's like, they always used to say, Kyle, how long did they jam down our throats? Like, you got to get a kid to go hunting. You're younger than us, so you didn't get that yet, but it was like, make sure you take a kid hunting. That was like 20 years ago. They just kept hammering us. And it's like, I got to the point where it's like, take anybody hunting, whoever
Yeah.
wants to go.
Right.
If somebody's 30, somebody's 50, 60, who cares? If they want to go, take them. You know what I mean? It's not just kids, and I'm not saying don't take kids, like that's the future, and all that. I'm not bashing that. I'm just saying,
Right.
like,
No,
the message is take people hunting, get people into carving. Doesn't matter how old they are, like, doesn't matter.
Sometimes it's a matter of time too, and
For sure.
people that are further along have more time
For sure.
to do the carving.
For sure.
So we want to encourage both.
Yeah. So there you go. Anything else? Everybody good? That was pretty badass. So if you want to see all our birds, all our stuff, fabrand.com, fabrand.ca. If you're in Canada, international distributors, you can look online for everything. I appreciate all the people that we deal with, the Weatherby guys, the Federal guys, Loophole, Rogers Sporting Goods, everybody that's in the mix, Tyler up in Saskatoon Company, up in Saskatchewan, and then our YouTube channel, if you want to go check it out, it's Final Approach. You can see the Last Pass web series. In the spring coming, you're going to see Tom smash his first turkey over his own decoy, which is going to be freaking awesome. And then Tom's YouTube channel. Give him all the details.
Tom C, or the handle is Tom Christie Art.
There you go.
At Tom Christie Art.
Awesome. And the website as well, or just on the YouTube.
TomChristieArt.com
Yeah, there you
is
go.
my website.
There you go. So if you want to learn anything about carving, I will say this, the carvers are as easygoing and as cool as it comes before we end. That if somebody reaches out to you and asks a question, you're going to answer it and say, here's where you start, here's what you do. That community is very cool and very receptive and want to pass it on. So feel free to reach out to anybody in your area, anybody online at all, because I'm sure they'll reach back to you. So appreciate you guys listening. That's the Final Approach podcast for this week.